Hello, everyone. For North Texas Corvair Association, we are trying to do something new to keep everybody up to date. And so if there's any technical glitches, I am sorry. We're trying to do the best that we can with everything that we've got. And we're trying to keep with the saying of welcome to the 21st century. As you can see the rest of the board is here too. So everyone wave at the camera. So we'll do what we can. Yes, we have a program for you, and I'm going to hand this off over to McKinnon.
Hello, club. This is new for everyone, and it's going to be something that we're all going to have to get used to. Hopefully, this is the one and only time we have to do this. So hopefully, everything will right itself. Usually this is the time where we welcome guests and new members. So if you are new to watching this video, welcome. This is the NTCA board of 2020 and the general meeting for April. And then we would go on to thank the Cookie Monsters. And this month, the Cookie Monsters would have been Ray and Jeanette. Ray and Jeanette, if you would like to wave or show your
cookies too.
Yes, they're sporting what they signed up for. So thank you for everybody who is being lenient with us, because this is something very different. But welcome for all of those who are joining, who are in the club seeing this and witnessing this. For those who are not in our club but are curious as to what a virtual general meeting looks like. And on to that, our next item of business is going over our secretary pipeline.
All right, let me get that pulled up for her real quick. And then we'll be ready to go. All right, I believe we're ready.
All right, well, this month, this is Jeanette. I'll read it over. Sandra's on the call, but since I have it in my hand, it's easier for me. You can see on the screen, and don't forget that Gail publishes this in the newsletter every month. So if you listen and then later you can't remember, check out the newsletter. Due in February are Dan and Denise Ayres, Harold Lair, Nick Raber, and Alan Sheegy. Those are folks that next month would be dropped. Due in the month of March are Guy Coyne, John Norton, Louis Pinard, and Jack Wybenga. Due in April is Steve Anderson, Diane Richardson. And then due in May, John Baker, Herb DePlant, Deborah Grimes, Gary Grimes, Jean Halliburton, Steve Kirkton, Charles McFarland, Don Weil, and McKinnon Wright. Our total membership is 106. Now, I know that during a regular meeting, many people who have dues due would come up to the table and pay myself or our membership chair, Lindsay Boyle, or sometimes Jennifer. And we're not doing that this month. We don't have a table, but we do have a way for you to pay. And of course, we can do it through Venmo, and you can also mail in a check. We are checking the post box, even though we are under quarantine later this week or early next week. But most importantly, if you're not able to send it in, just drop me an email or drop me a text and let me know. I'm not going to drop people if you just say, hey, I still am going to be a member, just can't get you the money. So just keep in touch, let me know, and we'll work it out. Okay, so that's the filler pipe.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. Then this is the time where we go to our Vice President, Jason, to talk about the program for today and future programs.
So with everything that is going on right now, the programs are going to be changing up slightly. If we have a meeting, our normal meeting next month, it'll be the program that we have already decided on, which will be about Texas Scottish Rite Hospital. And we'll go from there. If not, I'm going to do one that's a little bit more camera friendly. kind of like what we're trying to do today, and we'll go from there. So I will try and get that announced out as soon as I possibly can, depending on how things flow. So we're going to do what we can to keep on keeping on. So, all right, off to you, McKinnon.
Thank you. Now, this is where we discuss the activities for this month and future months. And so for the month of April, I would like Jeanette just to go over some of the updates in terms of HOT, which is what would have been this month. And she has some updates for everybody on that.
Great, thanks, McKinnon. So everybody should know by now that unfortunately we had to cancel HOT for this year. It's unfortunate, but it was wise. Many of us are on quarantine, and the most important thing is for us to, as Ray likes to say, be safe at any speed. So the good news is we were able to get the same weekend in 2021 for HOT at the same hotel, same location. So basically what we're doing is we're kind of postponing the fun to 2021. Registration is not open yet. The hotel will open that up later for hotel reservations. Good news is we were able to get the same room rate, as well as we were able to get the ballroom that we wanted for the banquet. And of course, our Chamber of Commerce has us booked in for the car show and everything. So we're just transferring the years, just changing it from a 2020 to 2021. I've also increased the block for the rooms because we did sell out our block pretty early. And selling out our block early means that we had a really great reception to having HOT in Nacogdoches this year. We probably would have had one of the biggest HOTs in a number of years, just because it's a new location, a new area, and convenient for a lot of folks. So I'm looking forward to having a really good one again next year too. So for those of you who had paid already and either by cash or Venmo or check, you should have received a check. Of course, if you didn't, let me know. I haven't had anything be returned in mail yet, but everybody should have had it, received their check from me. And about half of you have cashed them. Thank you. If you haven't cashed, please go ahead and do that so we keep up the books. So that's for HOT in 2021. Still looking forward to a really fun time next.
Thank you, Jeanette. And then in terms of future activities, next month's activity will be on a to be determined basis. Everything will just be determined on the quarantine. And if anything stays the way it is, or if anything changes. So in terms of that, we will be notifying everybody what will be happening. And if the program that we are, or the activity that we are supposed to have next month needs to get pushed to a different month, we will notify everybody. So after our activity announcement, we have a tech tip, and I will push it to the board, to the board members who are here. If they have a tech tip and you want to let the world basically in on a little Corvair knowledge, you are more than welcome.
Easy tech tip, real quick. Make sure you get your parts order in before Clark's Corvair has to close for anything. I was luckily enough, they said that they were going to close, and they actually shipped it out that day. I was really happy to be able to get my parts that I needed. So
that is very lucky. Now, this is where we would have our Corvair count. And for those who don't know what that is the people who drive their Corvairs to our meetings are counted so that we can have a total of how many earlies, lates, forward controls, etc. cars that we had show up to our meeting. And I will say that I think everybody who's viewing this video, we have had the biggest Corvair count, because if you look outside your windows and you have a Corvair, I say it counts because you are technically in a meeting, and we have our paper, like little table decorations. So anybody, if you have a Corvair, congratulations. It has made it to a meeting.
Yay!
Yes, that is a victory for some. So this is where we would usually have an open forum, and in this case, we won't have one. So I will just go on to say that usually at the end of our cookie breaks, we have what we call a Corvair of the month. And what that means is if you had brought a Corvair to a meeting, it would go into a contest. The only qualification for the contest is that your car actually showed up to the meeting. And in this case, it's going to be postponed. We will have either one or two winners for our next physical meeting. So with that, we wouldn't have our normal social gatherings and everybody talking. So at this point, we are now at our program. So Jason, do you want to take it away for our program?
Absolutely. So our program today is going to be a gentleman from Dallas Makerspace. He's going to talk about what you can do in terms of working on your car there if you don't have a garage, powder coating parts, and what other wonderful things that they can offer, like a full wood shop and stuff like that. So he's going to come and talk about that. And his name is JJ, and I will introduce him now. Hello.
Hello.
All right. As he comes in on the camera, a little high there. There's a chair right behind you. Right. All right, everyone. This is JJ. He's from Dallas Makerspace, and he will be doing our program today. And I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome, everyone. My name is JJ. I am the Public Relations Coordinator for the Dallas Makerspace. What you can see in front of us are a couple of the items that we keep on hand for public relations, just so people can kind of see what's going on. Here on the table, we have some 3D printed items. We have some dye sublimation. We've got some laser cut leather. So if you ever want to do things like upholstery or create your own bags, things like that. We do have a full wood shop, and we do have a rather extensive automotive area. So what I wanted to go ahead and do is share a walkthrough video that we've kind of roughed together in this odd time that we're in right now with the coronavirus. Typically, Dallas Makerspace is a 24/7 operation where you can go in and work on anything from your car to 3D printing a bracket at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want to. Right now, because of the coronavirus, the doors are shut, but the intent was that we would actually be holding this meeting and be giving you all a tour. So let's go ahead and share this video.
Hold on one second. There we go.
All righty. There we go. Got it a little bit bigger. So this is the outside of our location. As we go, we're walking through the lobby. Like I said, we're 24/7, so we use RFID tags that you can have either on your keychain or in your wallet, any number of different areas, and be able to access the building, like I said, even at 3 o'clock in the morning. All of our different areas are run by various committees. And to be on a committee, all you have to do is show up to the meetings. Since we are a co-op, you actually have an equal say in how things are run at the Dallas Makerspace. Here on the screen, you can see our 3D fabrication area, where you can 3D print parts, either in ABS, PLA, and we do usually have resin printers. Right now, ours is broken. Here we're moving into our electronics area. Our electronics area has pretty much anything that you'll need, from multimeters, oscilloscopes, power supplies, and even a microscope if you're doing very intricate work. All of our committees do have specialized tools that are available for that particular area. And then we also have general use tools available throughout the makerspace. So electronics is where you would go if you need to get some wire strippers or things of that nature. Now, we do have a very wide gamut of committees at the Dallas Makerspace. And here you can see we're going into our science committee. Right now, you can kind of see some wires hanging down, and things are a little rough because we are in the middle of our expansion. We're actually in a 36,000 square foot area, which has recently been bumped up from 16,500 square feet. So everybody's still kind of moving around a little bit. Most of our committees got about twice the amount of storage area, square footage wise, and science actually used that to its benefit. So you have chemistry here on this side, and then on that far side, you have physics and biology. So we have a laminar flow vent hood where you can do a sterile environment for bacteria and algae. And then on the other side, we do have a vent hood for chemical reactions. Next up, we have our area that's known as vector. Now, for those who are into graphics, we're not talking vector graphics. We're actually talking, it's a massively long thing up there on the wall, but essentially they're into the restoration of electromechanical equipment. A lot of times you'll see pinballs in there, but we've also had things like Wurlitzers, jukeboxes, and even some organs. Next up is our Glassworks Committee. Our Glassworks Committee is having their kilns put in right now, but they are able to do things like stained glass, diachromatic glass, glass fusing. Once they get their kilns up and running, they'll be able to do pretty much anything except glass blowing. The high temperatures and inherent dangers are a little too much for our enclosed space. Next, we're going to move over to our printmaking area. Now, printmaking is everything to do with liquid ink. So you'll notice right there in the foreground, we have a 6-arm screen print. So you can do up to 6 colors on a t-shirt or tote bag if you want to create your own club merchandise. We also have a 1959 Kluge letterpress, and then we also do block printing. Now, moving out of printmaking, we're moving into one of our classrooms. It's actually referred to as our wet classroom. Great area to be able to do things with water or even robotics. With the epoxy floor, it doesn't damage that. Here we have our general use area, common room, and it's a great place for people to get together, chit chat. You'll also notice as we turn around here that we do have a couple of computers available for use. Some of them are actually design computers. So we have the full Adobe suite on site. So if you need to do anything with Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, any of those Adobe tools, you have access to it on site. Now, since we are 24/7, 365, having a little bit of access to food and drink, it's really handy. That kiosk you see there on the left, you just go ahead and scan whatever you need and pay for it. And then Parks Pantry is actually right across the street from us, so they keep us stocked about once a week. We're going to go ahead and go out of the galley and make a U-turn and take a quick look at our digital media area. Now, like I said, we've got a lot of things going on. So we actually have all the lights, sound equipment, cameras for you to do pretty much any type of project, whether it's shooting a couple of promo and bragging pictures of your Corvair, or if you want to showcase other parts or things like that. Now, as part of our expansion, this area right here is actually going to be turned into a professional level sound booth. And then on the other side, we've got our computer committee. They like collecting some of the older technology, as well as they also handle all of the computer-related classes as far as computer programming and things like that. Now, as we go down the hall, we do have another classroom here on our right through that shut door and a pair of bathrooms. And then we're coming up on our creative arts area. Now, creative arts is a blend of a lot of different disciplines. Anything from, you can see we have spinning wheels and looms, all the way to leatherworking. We do resin artwork. We do painting. We do button making. All of that type of kind of creativity, energy is available right here in this large area. And then we have a couple of breakout rooms for creative arts as well. So here we have our dedicated sewing room. You'll notice that we have a couple of sort of basic level sewing machines, so if you want to get checked out on those. We also have things like sergers, and as we turn around, you'll also see some industrial level equipment such as our conscrew there and our Thor. Thor was actually designed to go through multiple layers of thick leather or upholstery. So it's available for pretty much whatever you want to throw at it. Training is required, and most of our training is basically how not to break the machine, and in some cases, especially like Thor, how not to let the machine break you. Now, this is our printing area. We also do dye sublimation there. With dye sublimation, you can do things like your own coffee mugs, mouse pads, and t-shirts if they're polyester. We have a scanner, we have a vinyl cutter, so if you want to do things like your own vinyl cut stickers. As we go down the hall here, we're coming up on our lecture hall. Now, lecture hall is great for meetings like this where everybody can kind of gather together in a room. We do have a projector set up, so there are times where other groups of individuals get together and do things like movie watching, or they'll put up anime, things like that. And that's also where we hold our board meetings typically. Now we're going to go ahead and turn to our left and go into what used to be our common general area. Now things are currently in flux. Some of these committees are moving over to our new area. But at the time of this video, this is kind of where our committees currently are. We do have some storage available on a first come, first serve monthly basis. So if you have a larger project that you need to not haul back and forth, you can kind of see over there on the shelves on the right. One of our makers, Johnny there. And then we now have a lapidary area. If you're not familiar with lapidary, it's where you can cut and grind your own rocks and gemstones. Very handy, especially for jewelry making, which is actually right across the bench. This is our jewelry and small metals department. You can kind of see some samples of work of things people have done. Those two rings there in the center are actually really interesting because the one on the left was actually 3D printed using a resin printer. And then it came over here into jewelry and small metals, and we were able to do a metal wax loss casting of it. We do like to use technology when possible, but we also have a lot of members who like to do things the traditional way. So in jewelry and small metals, you can actually learn from jewelry makers on how to take anything from brass or silver or any soft metal and turn it from a hunk of metal all the way into a finished product. You can see that we've got some kilns and some wax equipment. And then as we turn to our right, we actually have our ceramics department. So we have everything from pottery wheels to hand building to, we've also got some slip cast molds. In the back, you'll notice that we have our own kilns, so our members don't actually have to go off-site in order to have anything fired. We use this shelving system in order to be able to let our volunteers who run these kilns know when it's still drying, when it needs to fire, things like that. You can kind of see our shelving system there with some of the works in progress. Next up is our machine shop. Machine shop is where clean metal work and precision are key. We have things such as our Haas CNC mill. We have a Bridgeport. We have a couple of metal lathes. There on the screen, you can see our cold cut saw. Great for cutting exact angles through non-hardened metal. So any precision pieces that you need to either create yourself or recreate for your Corvair, most of them you can probably do in our machine shop. Our Bridgeport. And then our other metal lathe. Here's our drill press for machine shop, as well as a collection of all the machine shop related specialty tools. Now, in the common area, we do have space for you to work on.
I think we lost the audio for Jason and JJ. Not sure how to fix that.
Or regular daily driver. Now, we do have lasers. As you go through our Lasers 101 basics class, you learn that there's only about 7 different materials that you can't cut, metal being one of them. But as you can see, it does cut leather beautifully, including all of the stitch holes. Now, lasers are one of the few machines that it does cost to use the lasers. The cost of consumables is so high that it is $1 per every 5 minutes of cut time. That's the laser actually firing. Generally, once you're a member and get checked out on how to use equipment, all of the equipment is free to use. So here we're going into our metal shop. Now, we saw machine shop where clean metal work and precision are key. Metal shop is kind of where we get down and dirty with metal. Right there in front of you, you can see we have a very large CNC plasma table. Great for cutting custom brackets or anything from wall art or lawn art. We do have a very large powder coating oven. As we crack it open, you can see that you can actually fit an entire truck bumper. Or if you want to, you can actually powder coat your own tires and rims. All of that is removable so that you can hang things as needed and then bake it right there on site. Great savings opportunity in powder coating by itself. Now, in Metal Shop, we also have a number of different tools. We've got shears, we've got brakes, we've got benders, we've got a grinding area. We've got a horizontal bandsaw. We've got a vapor hone blaster. Here you can see our welding area with fume extractor. At the makerspace, we do MIG, TIG, and stick welding. Vapor hone, for those of you who don't know, is very similar to a sandblasting cabinet. The difference is it uses pressurized water and a slightly more refined media. Here you can see our blacksmithing area and our English wheel. We do have a magnetic induction forge where you can blacksmith indoors, or on certain days we do also go ahead and take our propane and coal forges out to the back parking lot and do traditional blacksmithing. Now, the nice thing about the vapor hone machine is, just like a sandblaster, it can take off things like rust or paint off of your parts, but unlike a sandblaster, it won't pit the metal. So you won't be left with that rough texture. Great thing when you're doing restorations is you can actually blast all of the surface rust off, or in some cases the paint off, and all of your parts will still be within spec. Here we have our general use wood shop area. This area is great for things like glue ups and hand painting varnishes on. We've got hand chisels, hand planes, hand saws in this area. And then we have our full wood shop. As you go through wood shop basics, you get checked out on 95% of the equipment in this room. Everything from the routing table, table saws, we've got the compound miter saw that you see there. We've got drill press. We've got sanding stations. We've pretty much got everything. The only things you don't get checked out on are the 5-foot by 10-foot CNC router that we've got, as well as our lathe. So that kind of gives you an idea of a quick walkthrough of the Dallas Makerspace. We do normally do tours every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. So we're always welcome to have y'all stop by any Saturday. For your
Jason, I believe you're on mute, so we can't see anything or hear anything.
All right, is that better?
Yes.
Sorry, I was about to say sorry for the technical glitch. It was my fault. I didn't bring my computer charger. Don't leave just yet.
Don't leave.
And so I had to get that fixed. So give us just a second, and I will get us back the way we were supposed to, so you can actually see me.
While you're doing that, I just want to reference for folks watching this, for those of you who've been over to Mike Dobie's place, where we used to have, or we have the Barth auction, Makerspace is right over by there. So
Yeah,
that's to give you a reference
really
point.
Yeah, it's really close to there. All right, y'all should be able to see me again now. Sorry about that. So there's a few things that I'm gonna talk to you about as well. One of the things is he was talking about dye sublimation, and I don't know, you probably weren't able to see it. So we're gonna try and make some of these things a little easier for y'all to see. Wow. As you see to my side. But dye sub is being able to actually print images and stuff on like coffee mugs, mouse pads, even some shirts. And then 3D printing is actually really cool because it's really starting to help people who are collecting these old cars. And I was watching a video on Haggerty actually about using 3D printing to restore your old car. But you start out with just a thing of plastic, a filament, basically just a line of plastic like weed eater line, and it will melt it down and print everything in layers, so you actually get an object like this. I don't know how well you can see it.
You can see the layers on that one a little bit better.
And then this
down
is
at the bottom.
And then this is 3D printed as well. And you can kind of see the layers right in here. It's really, really small.
Down at the bottom, you can see them easier.
At this end.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see them there, like where this crack is here is where it's a little bit separated, but you can actually make actual objects. And then this was done on our wood lathe. And then this was made and sewn up on Thor that you saw.
No, it was not.
It wasn't on Thor. Was
No,
it done by
was
hand?
not. It was hand sewn.
Hand sewn. Sorry.
Laser cut stitch holes. That was actually designed by me. And it's actually my tools pouch for whenever I do leather working.
So I'm a member of Dallas Makerspace, as some of y'all know, because I've been doing my powder coating my parts up there. And I will tell you for a fact that the rear suspension of a cross member of a Corvair will fit inside our oven, because I fit mine in there. But the other spaces that I kind of use while I'm up there personally myself is Vector. I have 32 pinball machines and arcade games that I restore. So that's kind of also my other side hobby other than my car. So I use that area to do it. But the best thing, and one of the things you actually didn't say a whole lot about, was the classes. So there's a lot of classes so that you are taught how to do things. So say that you come in, you've always wanted to learn about making a ring and you don't know how, there's classes on there to tell you how to do it. You know, how to use the laser printer, how to use all these tools. Some of them are mandatory to use the tool because we don't want, like he said, the tool to hurt you or you to hurt the tool. So there's things like that.
The majority of our classes are typically free and open to the public. Some of the classes are members only because it makes sense. So getting checked out on the wood shop doesn't really help you if you're not a member. However, like Jason said, we do have a large number of classes. Now, you may notice I've got what is actually a Tyrannosaurus Rex tooth around my neck. Unfortunately, I didn't go to Jurassic Park and bag my own Tyrannosaurus Rex, but we had the Billings Company come in, the Dino Shop in Allen, Texas, and they brought in their molds from actual dinosaur teeth. And these are the same molds that they use for their animatronic dinosaurs that are literally all over the world at this point. You can actually rent animatronic dinosaurs from them. And we had a class on how to pour a 2-part epoxy plastic into a silicone mold, and then how to do the painting and everything else. That class was, I think, $20 in order to cover the cost of materials. Myself, I teach some classes such as how to laser cut your own leather keychain. Those classes, whenever I teach them, are about $5, again, to cover the cost of materials. And the great thing about the Makerspace is we generally have, right now we're down to about 1,700 members, but we generally have around 2,000 members. And those are members from every walk of life. We've got everything from college students to people who've literally graduated from MIT.
I'm not kidding.
No. And so if there's something that you want to know, all you have to do is talk to our membership. Mm-hmm. And our members are generally really great about if they know something, everyone's wanting to share. Mm-hmm. How I got into teaching classes was I actually wanted to create my own leather wallet. And I went through a couple of our our leather basics classes, and I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to create a wallet the traditional way. So I started learning about laser cutting leather and started working on a couple of my own projects, such as this bag. And other members came up to me and said, hey, how did you do that? That looks really good. Would you be willing to teach a class on it? And I was like, I never thought about that, but sure. So being able to teach is open to any member. If there's something that you're passionate about, chances are there's somebody else that is passionate about it as well. All the way to the point of we've had everything from a group come in with their RC battleships that shoot actual ball bearings.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they will teach you what it takes to do that. We've got our established committees, but many of our established committees are because enough people showed interest. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the great things about the makerspace is, as a co-op, if enough members get together and say, hey, we want to do this, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. You've seen the committees that we have currently, but we've also had at various times RC drone groups. Mm-hmm. And then as focus kind of shifts away from that and people lose interest, that committee goes away. Or if somebody else is interested maybe in traditional photography, we might look into, okay, how can we set up our own dark room? Mm-hmm. Anything pretty much is possible within certain limitations. Like I said, we won't have glass blowing because it is a little too inherently dangerous. But if there's anything people are interested in, we usually will find a way if there are enough members interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, and that's kind of what I like about it. And there's a good sense of community there too, just because people are wanting to share their knowledge with you. So, and that's what I like about it, is that you have this knowledge share of things that, you know, I don't know how to do this, but here, you do. If you're willing to help me, will you help me? And they, you know, most time, absolutely. So, I mean, it's a really good place to go and see. I know Ray has had the wonderful joy of going and seeing it for himself. And I know for a little bit, I couldn't get him to be quiet about it. So, yeah, exactly. So anyways, yeah, if you get a chance, once everything kind of blows over, definitely go and check them out. Even if it's not just to work on your car, there, like I said, there's plenty of things to do. For National Convention, I know especially like the Boyles who do the dioramas, and you can use the 3D cutters to cut out parts for the dioramas. You can use, you know, Creative Arts and the paints. I mean, there's a lot of things that not necessarily pertains to your car, but still pertains to kind of the club in general for what we do. So it's a good place to check it out if you're into that kind of thing. So I would like to thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
I believe that is the end of the program for this month. McKinnon, is there any last words you want to say before we stop the recording?
I just want to say thank you again for the board and for our special guest. I know this was a little crazy, and at one point in time it was just a theory in our minds, but now it's here, and we are embracing this new way of giving a meeting. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody on the board. Thank you to JJ, and thank you to our club for understanding that this is a crazy time, but we are still trying to figure out a way to have our meetings, whether they are in person or virtual. And just bear with us as we deal with the craziness that is coronavirus, and we are all hoping that this will blow over very soon and we can continue our normal physical meetings. So thank you.
So everybody should stay home and stay safe.
Yep, stay home, stay safe. All right.
And home projects.
Yeah, I'm sure we have plenty of them. I know I do. All right. Well, with that, I would like to say thank you, everyone, for enjoying this video. Let us know what you think. See if there's anything that we can possibly change or improve. Other than, of course, the technical glitches. Like I said, that was my fault. So we'll get that taken care of for next time. If we have to do this the next time, which we're hoping we don't. But thank you. We're trying to do what we can as we can.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.